Hi, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures to Crochet, and today we are going to learn how to make pom-poms. Pom-poms are so much fun. Not only are they great for adding to your crochet projects, which I've done here to this little baby crocheted hat, but they're also great for kids to make. You can add them to kids' crafts. There's lots of things that you can add pom-poms to. Now, there are many ways to make pom-poms. You may have seen something like this little gadget around. This is a pom-pom maker, and actually I made this little white pom-pom using this. These are pom-pom makers. You may have also heard about taking some cardboard and cutting it into a semicircle and using that to make your pom-pom. Well, one of the ways that I like to make pom-poms, and especially when I want to make a large pom-pom, this one is about 5 inches across. When I like to make a large pom-pom, I like to use 2 toilet paper rolls, 2 empty toilet paper rolls. This is a great method. I love it. Because toilet paper rolls are something that most households have lying around, and in my household with 3 young kids, we have no shortage of toilet paper rolls. So it's great for recycling. There's no need to cut out perfect semicircle shapes to precise measurements. It's just simple. All you need is 2 toilet paper rolls. So let's get started. For this project, you're going to need your 2 toilet paper rolls. You're going to need some yarn. Now, it doesn't really matter which yarn you choose. It can be a thinner worsted weight yarn, it can be thicker, it doesn't matter what fiber. All that it will affect is how plush your end result is, and how many times you will have to wind the yarn around your toilet paper rolls, which I will show you in just a moment. So you'll need toilet paper rolls, you'll need yarn, you'll need a pair of scissors, a good pair of scissors, and you'll also need a yarn needle. Okay, so why don't we get started? What you're going to do first is you're going to take your 2 toilet paper rolls and you're going to hold them together. You're going to take your yarn, whichever one you choose to use. I'm going to throw it down on the floor so it's out of the way. And you're going to take the end of yarn and you're going to stick it in between, with the tail end down, I find easier, in between your 2 toilet paper rolls. Okay, so just like that. Stick it in between. You're going to pinch your toilet paper rolls together so that yarn tail is fairly secure. And then you're simply going to begin winding your yarn around the 2 rolls held together. Now you want it to be fairly snug, but not too snug that you're crushing the 2 toilet paper rolls. You just want it to be, just snug enough so that your yarn ends won't be sloppy. They won't be all different shapes when you cut them. It'll look neat. So you're going to keep rolling them around, wrapping them around, and depending on how thick you want your pom-pom will determine how many times you're going to wrap it around. Now, I kind of like my pom-poms at the moment a little floppy, so I like to wrap my thicker yarns around about 60 or 70 times. Now, as I'm chatting to you, I haven't been counting, so I'm just going to go, sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error until you get the pom-pom you like. It's going to go a little bit faster here, so you're going to keep wrapping it around until your pom-pom is as thick as you think you would like it. Now sometimes, as I'm doing here, I'd like to use a self-stripping yarn or variegated yarn. You'll see when the pom-pom is finished, it will add almost a bit of depth or dimension or something to the pom-pom. It just makes it look a little bit more exciting. So I'm using the self-stripping, just an end of a Karen cake that I had Karen tea cake that I had laying around. So I think that's good. Now that I have it to the thickness that I want, I'm going to take it, I'm going to wrap it around one more time, and then again I'm just going to take my end and I'm going to tuck it in between these two toilet paper rolls one more time and just kind of pull it tight. Okay, and then I'm going to snip that yarn. I'm going to leave a little bit of a long tail just so that it doesn't get lost, and then I'm going to cut another longer piece of yarn for myself, separate from what is on the rolls, and then I'm going to set the ball aside. Okay, then you're going to take your yarn, your individual piece of yarn, and you're going to lay it across the top in line with your toilet paper rolls, and you're going to pull it down through the bottom in between the two rolls. This is the piece of yarn that you're going to use to tie your pom together. Okay, so you're going to pull it through. We'll get those two pieces out of the way there. Okay, just like that, so they're coming through the top. Now it's time to tie it. Now the tying part is fairly important because this is what is going to hold your pom together. And if it's too loose, then you will see that in the end you'll have little strands kind of falling out. So you're going to want it to be fairly tight. Now, before you tie the final knot, so I've just done sort of the beginning part of a knot. Okay, so I've tied it just once, pulled it. I'm going to hold it fairly firm, but not tie it tight yet. And then I'm going to very carefully wiggle the toilet paper rolls out. Now, this is why I like to use the toilet paper rolls, because I find that because they have a little bit of squish to them, they're easier to get them out from under the yarn, especially if you've tied it maybe a little tighter than you should have. So very carefully pull it out, and you're going to set that one aside. And then very carefully you're going to go to the other side, and you're going to pull that one out as well. Very carefully so that you don't pull any of the other strands out, and set it aside. Then you have your piece that you had partially tied. You're going to pull that tight, and again you want to pull this strand as tight as you possibly can without breaking it, of course. So pull, pull, pull. Then you're going to take your finger and you're going to place it on that first half a knot just to kind of hold it in place like you would if you're wrapping a present and putting a bow on it. Okay, so put it in place. Then you're going to finish your knot. So it takes a little bit of coordinating. Finish your knot. And then just before I finish the knot, I like to pull it one more time to again really make sure that it's as tight as I can possibly get it. Okay, tight, 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 and then a quick knot right there. Okay, and then I'm just going to knot it one more time. There we go. Okay, now you'll have something that looks a little bit like this. And I like to keep holding on to those knotted pieces. These two strands that you used are great for if you're going to attach your pom-pom to a hat or another article that you've crocheted. These two strands are great to hang on to because you can use them to sew your pom-pom onto the top. Okay, so now that you have this finished, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to start just cutting the loops. I'm going to cut the loops all the way around. Try to stay kind of along the edge in the middle because you want your strands to be as even as possible. It will mean less trimming in the end. So we have these strands. You can see them kind of popping out here. And you're just going to keep cutting, cut all the way around. Okay, almost there. Just like that. Okay, then you're going to go back through, see if there's any little loops kind of hiding around on the inner circle. Don't cut too deep because you don't want to cut your thread that's kind of holding everything together. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. See if there's any more. You might find more when we trim it, but that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so you might have like kind of a crazy looking pom-pom. Then what you're going to do is I continue to hold on to my my strands that I used to knot it together, and you're just going to pull it up. And I like to make all the strands as close together as I can, as tight. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of a haircut. Okay, so I'm going to cut any of these long kind of stray pieces without cutting my fingers. Just kind of give it a little bit of a haircut, even it out, just like this. Yes, I'm going to make a little bit of a mess, but don't worry, it's easy to clean up. As long as your kids don't track it, or dog track it all over the house, which has happened to me before. These are not good puppy toys, not at all. It was a mess, and I was scared he would choke on it, so don't give it to your pets. Not to be used without supervision. So we're just going to continue trimming all the way around. And that's good. Okay, and then once you feel like your palm is pretty trim and looking pretty good. Now if I wanted to, I could keep trimming. I could trim a lot off of this pom-pom and then get it to whatever size I would like. This one will be about 5 inches. I'll show you here. About 5 inches across. So this is a fairly large pom-pom. Yeah, you're looking at about 5 inches. And then the more I trim it, the more kind of tight the strands will become. And of course the smaller it will become. But there you go. Once you have it trimmed, you have a pretty nice looking pom-pom there. And again, if I wanted to make it a little bit thicker, I would have just kept winding my yarn around. Now why don't we try it one more time, and this time I will use a thinner yarn, a worsted weight yarn. This was a super bulky, so I'll use a worsted weight yarn, and you can kind of see the difference there and what it looks like. Okay, so we'll go through those steps again. I'm just going to clear my workspace here a little bit. There we go. We're going to take our 2 toilet paper rolls just like this, and right now I'm going to use another end of a Karen cake. This is a great way to use up scraps if you're looking to use up scraps of yarn. Okay, and this is a worsted weight yarn. You can see it's a lot thinner. I'm just going to throw it on the floor so it's out of the way. I'm going to hold my 2 toilet paper rolls together, stick the end in between, and kind of pinch it tight so that I don't lose track of it. Now because this is a thinner yarn, I'm going to be wrapping it around probably at least twice as much as I had wrapped that thick, super bulky yarn around. And I'm going to want to make sure that I keep it fairly even on my toilet paper rolls. There we go, we just keep wrapping. And like I said earlier, you can use any fiber type. Acrylic yarn, wool, anything at all really to make the palm that you would like. There we go, we're gonna keep going. I want it a little bit thicker. As you can see, I've already wrapped it around probably a lot more than I did the other one, but it's just because we're using a thinner yarn. I wouldn't mind if I got some of that white from the cake mixed in here. I'm not sure if I'll make it, but we'll see. Ah, there it is. Perfect. I like a little 2-tone or 3-tone colors in there and make it pop a little bit more. Okay, now that's probably good for this one. Okay, so again, I'm going to take it, I'm going to take my end, and I'm going to pull it down in between just to kind of secure it a little bit on my palm, and then I'm going to snip it. I'm going to cut another longer piece separate from the pom-pom for myself to tie it with, just like that. Okay, then taking the 2 toilet paper rolls, I'm going to lay my yarn across the top, perpendicular. I'm going to pull it through the parallel, I'm not sure. There we go. Okay, I'm going to bring it around and I'm going to tie it. Okay, I'm just going to tie it part way because then I'm going to very carefully pull my 2 toilet paper rolls out. Very carefully. When it's caught, there we go, on one of the pieces there. Okay, I'm going to pull the other side very carefully out, set it aside, and then I'm going to finish my knot. So I'm going to pull, 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 pull very, very tight as I can without breaking the yarn. Okay. I'm going to stick my finger there on the middle just to hold it while I tie the rest. Okay. And pull, pull, pull. And again, I like to pull it one more time just to make sure that it's tight. And then finish your knot. Okay. And then I like to tie it one more time just so it feels extra secure. Now if you want, you could take these ends, once you're finished your pom-pom, take these ends and you can weave it in and out to kind of sew the pom together a little bit more if you were really worried about the strands coming out. Okay, so I got that, turn it over, that's what it looks like. Then we are going to take our scissors and we are just going to cut our loops. Very careful so we don't cut the yarn on the inside at the center of the palm. I'm going to cut our loops just like that. See if I have any extras there. Nope, I'm going to keep going around. Very carefully. Okay, I'm going to look for any stray loops. No loops hiding just down into the center. There we go. There's another one there. Oh no. Okay, and then once you have all your loops cut, you're going to trim it to size. Okay, and I'm just going to pull it up like this. And this one I might want to trim just a little bit more off just to kind of show you what it looks like. You can see how I kind of have the white stripe going down the middle. I love it. There we go. And trim around the bottom a little bit. Make it more ballish. And you just keep trimming until you have it to the way you like. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Oh, it's kind of fun. There we go. We have our new pom-pom for our hat. I'm just going to trim this little side up here. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Thank you for stopping in to Rich Textures Crochet. If you have enjoyed this tutorial and would like to see more, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be having many more fun tutorials made up in the future. So until next time, see you later and have fun with your pom-poms.